welcome to another episode of Success University with your host, Krystal Khali, also known as the most famous woman in the world. So today, I want to talk about the law of attraction and faith and how those things do definitely impact your level of success, your mood on a daily basis, and how those things actually do affect outcomes in your life, whether that's in business or personal. And I'm going to take a slightly different take on this because I do come from a scientific background. So right now I am in the middle of getting a degree. I have a couple degrees prior to this that are not in the sciences necessarily. I have a MBA and another degree in music. But yes, I'm getting another degree in biobehavioral health with wonderful Penn State. And so that's part of their College of Health and Human Development. And so it's very science-based. And when I think of the law of attraction, I think of a couple things. One of them is I like to just put things in terms of common sense and science, first and foremost. Meaning, okay, so we've all heard the law of attraction, basically is kind of saying, everything is made of energy and, you're attracting the things that you want into your life because of your frequency and your vibrations and that type of thing. For me, that's just a little bit too magical. I mean, I like it. I mean, I like things that are positive, and I love quantum theory and, Einstein's spooky action at a distance and all that really fun stuff that Neil deGrasse Tyson talks about. And, just imagining the infinite possibility of the universe and how much we don't know what we don't know. But I like to put things in terms that are more solid for me. And so common sense, if we look at this just from a purely common sense perspective, okay, it's basically this. And any sports coach, if anybody's ever played sports with a good coach, you'll know this. If you don't believe that the outcome you want is a possibility amongst your host of options, why would you even lift one little finger to go achieve that goal? So, and also realize that this is not, there's a distinction here. So it's not that you believe, let's say let's just look at a basketball game. It's not that you believe you will win. Because, okay, you can believe that you will win, but you might not, right? So there's a cognitive dissonance in there where most people's brains quite clearly understand that you can't predict outcomes in life. You can't say, yes, I'm going to win this game. Yes, I'm going to win this lottery. Yes, my business will absolutely 100% be successful. We understand, we're logical. We understand that things can happen and it may not turn out the way we want. So it's not that you believe in a certain outcome. It's that you believe that it is possible amongst your host of options. So it's almost like you are simply removing the belief that it 100% will not happen, if that makes any sense. So it's almost like you are returning your way of thinking to being just more realistic, honestly, because if you think of any if you think of anything, there's always going to be basically 3 to 4 outcomes that are possible. And this is in anything. So first option, the outcome that you want occurs. So let's say it's the positive outcome. The second option is the thing that you want does not occur. So you could say that's your negative option. Or third option, something neutral happens. So let's say it wasn't a win or lose situation, but a different type of scenario, and the third option would be simply the outcome was neutral. It was neither bad nor good, or you could call this a fourth option, or you could just also put this in the category of the neutral option, which is something occurred that you did not put in your host of options. So something that you did not foresee occurred, something like, you don't know what you don't know, something like that happened. So I like to narrow this down and just look at it like, look, in life, there's basically going to be 3 things that can happen: positive, negative, neutral. And I'm getting a little bit into the weeds here, but I think this is super important because it really helps me and it helps people I know who tend to veer on the negative side. So if you're believing that the only outcome of something is that it will not happen, you are just as out of touch with reality as the person who 100% believes it will happen. The truth of reality in the universe that we live in is that we are temporal beings. We live in time and space, as far as we know, or we believe that we live in time and space. And so we can't predict any outcome. So therefore, your outcomes are positive, negative, neutral. That is reality. So out of those options, in order for your subconscious mind, for your reticular formation in your brain, and I'll get to that in a minute, in order for your subconscious mind and your conscious mind to be all on the same page, you need to realize that the outcome you want is definitely a possibility amongst your host of options, so that you take the options and you take the steps to achieve that outcome. If you genuinely don't believe it's a possibility, you will not do the things necessary to go achieve that outcome because your subconscious brain or your conscious brain or both believes that there's no way it could possibly happen. I would even say that this is going to be the non-scientific part, but I believe that the focusing on the it not happening part slows down the it happening part by however much percentage you are focusing on that. Why? Because you're spending your energy and your time and your minutes in your day basically planning for failure. So you don't want to spend your time planning for failure. You want to spend your time, any free time that you have, that you're working on, whatever big goal it is, you need to actually make a plan that can work. You don't plan for failure. So don't spend time in your mind planning for failure. Spend time planning and strategizing for the outcome that you want. Okay, so, all right, that's the common sense part. And also, if you look at it just in terms of percentages, you could say that in anything, there's a 1/3 chance of positive, negative, or neutral, right? Those are your 3 options: 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So if you look at it like that, then isn't it 2/3 possibility that the outcome for anything will be positive or neutral? So 2/3 of your options are actually the better options. Neutral, great. Positive, even better. 2/3. And that's just a giant overview of, this is just possibilities in general, right? This is just like flipping a coin, flipping a coin however many hundreds of times, and there you go. So, and basically like we're looking at a coin that would have 3 sides, right? So maybe think of a 3-sided die. And if you threw that enough times, the outcomes would be a third, a third, a third. Positive, neutral, negative. So even with that, you could look at that and go, well, whatever endeavor I'm doing, there's a 2/3 chance it will work out either positively or neutral. So you should be taking the steps to do the outcome that you want. Okay. Now we can get into the reticular formation in your brain. So the reticular formation is for sake of simplicity, it's a pathway in your brain. It's a network whose job it is to highlight things in your environment that you previously, basically this. How can I explain this even easier? The reticular formation is responsible for helping you find things in your environment that you are looking for. That's its job. So what does that mean? So that means that, let's say you are looking for your keys. Your reticular formation will be helping with that. It will go, okay, we are looking for keys, and a little picture of keys pops up in your mind, and you start thinking, okay, where's the last time I saw them? Where do I usually put them? Where was I last night? You start turning on lights so that you can see your living room better. You flip over the couch cushions, and it's just keys, 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 right? Until you find your keys. Your reticular formation activates, and in that moment that you're looking for your keys desperately because you're late for work, in that moment, your reticular formation is not telling you, look for raspberries. Raspberries, where are the raspberries? So it is excluding all things that are not keys in order for you to be able to find your keys. So in that moment, you're most likely not going to be thinking about, what you're going to be saying at the meeting in 30 minutes to convince somebody that blah, blah, blah. Like your brain in that moment is just focused on the keys. So this is the part of the brain that people talk about when you buy a new car, and suddenly you see that car everywhere, and you start thinking, wow, I bought, the car that everybody has. I'm so basic. Your reticular formation is responsible for making those cars pop out. They will be highlighted against the background of the rest of the world. And this is because your brain at any one given moment is actually intaking thousands and thousands of pieces of information, possibly an infinite number of information, actually. And in order for your survival, you can't be consciously thinking of every single one of those pieces of information. Otherwise, you would never be able to, no organism on the face of the planet would function. So exclusion of data is necessary for the brain to move forward. So in caveman times, when all of this wonderful structure, when all these wonderful structures were forming, this is what would help you to find food. So you are walking through a dense forest as your caveman self millennia ago, and you need to find raspberries. Well, guess what? Your brain your reticular formation will do the same thing that it does today when you see the same car that you just bought all over the freeway. It will make raspberry-oriented things highlighted against your environment so that you can find food. Lovely. Or, if you're needing to be careful of things like lions and snakes in the environment, it will highlight lion and snake-esque things so that you can avoid those things and survive. So it is a wonderful survival structure in your brain. So the reticular formation, when you extrapolate this to goals, which is basically its job, you can start to see how if you are focusing on the negative outcome, your reticular formation will find things in your environment to confirm your negative outcome scenario. And then it becomes a vicious cycle. So, conversely, if you are looking for and seeking positively oriented scenarios in your environment, your reticular formation will highlight those things in your environment. So it will highlight things like people that you might know who, hey, you know what? I never thought about it, but didn't Debbie from accounting say that her sister just started a bakery and she really needs a partner, and I was just thinking how I really want to start my own small business and I love baking. It will start highlighting people, places, possibilities, pathways toward that goal for you. So to people who are more used to hearing about the law of attraction, this is that phenomenon when you do your vision board and you write down your goals. And then if you're really, you're really in that mood right then, and you're like into the law of attraction and you're feeling it. Oh, all of a sudden it just seems like, oh, wow, now I see this, now I see that. Oh, I never noticed right next door is a culinary school that's literally right next to my house. And I said I wanted to go back to school to become a chef. I could just walk next door. I never even saw it. Whoa, the law of attraction is real. Well, yeah, the law of attraction is real. It's called the reticular formation. It's in our brain. It's been there for millions of years. And the reticular formation is actually not even exclusive to humans. So this brain structure is, I know it's in all primates. I need to look and see if it's in other animals, but I'm sure it is in other animals. Pretty much I would assume any animal that needs to eat probably has some type of reticular formation. Okay, so here's another interesting factoid. So two stories for you, actually. So one of them is about the 1986 World Series and what Bill Buckner said 19 days before Game 6. Okay, so, all right. So, Buckner, I believe, was first base. I need to actually know baseball, and I don't. But I just looked it up because I always think of this this is the story I go to when I think of the law of attraction. So, Bill Buckner was responsible for basically losing the World Series for the Red Sox in 1986. And the crazy part about it is that 19 days before the game, he just nonchalantly in an interview said, and I will actually quote, "The dreams are that you're going to have a great series and win. The nightmares are that you're going to let the winning run score on a ground ball through your legs. Those things happen, you know. I think a lot of it's just fate." Now, guess what? Yep. He let the winning run score on a ground ball through his legs and lost the World Series for the Red Sox to the Mets. So you could say, oh, it's just a coincidence. You could say, oh, it's the law of attraction. He was attracting it. I say most likely it's the reticular formation, because he was probably focusing on ground ball through your legs, ground ball through your legs, ground ball through your legs. So what did his physical body, which is controlled by his brain, which has a reticular formation, made his movements, right? Because your brain controls your muscles. So ground ball through your legs, ground ball through your legs, ground ball through your legs. If he's constantly thinking that, your body's gonna just do a ground ball through your legs. It's gonna open your legs up. When that ball comes at you, boom, it's gonna purposely let it through your legs, and you're gonna lose because that's what you were focusing on. Your reticular formation, right? It is sort of like a pilot that's in your brain that you kind of have to constantly give it the correct directions. Otherwise, that pilot's going to steer you in whichever direction you're giving it directions to. And it doesn't know that connection between your conscious wishes and your, evolutionary brain structures that have been there evolving for millions of years. It doesn't know. It can't tell the difference. And so if you don't want to lose the World Series, one thing you can do is simply stop running the negative thoughts. So you might not be able to only think positive, but you can at least think neutral. So don't focus on ground ball through your legs, ground ball through your legs. Do everything you can, meditation, visualization, say it out loud if you have to. Say, we're winning the World Series, we're winning the World Series, we're winning the World Series. We are in the middle of winning the World Series. Maybe not we will win the World Series, because your brain might push back to that. But either neutral or a narrative on the present, which is describing a more positive or neutral outcome. So, okay, yes. Is there anything else I have to say about this topic? Yes, I could keep going, as you probably can tell. But yes, if there is anything that you take from this, I just want you to take from it that at least, if you can do anything, believe that the possibility of whatever outcome you want is valid amongst your host of future outcomes. And with that, remember to demonstrate excellence and bravery.